In today's video, we're going to be diving back into more Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and for this one I'm going to be going over your benedictions, everything you need to know about them, and giving you the very best ones that you should be choosing. Some of these can completely change the way you play the game and are very powerful indeed, so well worth looking out for and putting in your builds to become really dangerous, do a whole bunch of extra damage, or of course damage negation. I'll be picking out what I believe are the best ones and going over why you may want to use them. So the first slot I'm going to be going over is going to be for your oath slot on your benedictions, and the very first benediction I'll be going over is one that almost everyone will know about by now. That's going to be Way Try Disciplinary Force. This one is just an amazing pick, works in every single build, is very possibly the best in-game set to put on your characters because no matter what you're doing, you're going to get 10% extra damage just for having this slotted into your gear. But on top of that, if you get the other two, you're going to get a whole bunch extra as well. Another great one to look out for is going to be the Sheng Burning Might, as this one's going to give you a little bit of extra damage, and as well as that it's also going to give you a bit of Skyborn Might whenever you're setting enemies ablaze. This works out perfect for generating a little bit of additional Skyborn Might, but also works really well in your fire builds for the extra damage. Next up, and we've got the She Blood Ward, and this one's going to be for your defensive builds out there. Although you're not going to get a bit of additional damage, it is going to help you to stay in the game, so if you're worried about falling over, this may be one you want to look at, as when you take damage you're going to get damage reduced on your character for a short period of time. This one worked out pretty well, and I believe it was hard to work out, but I think for all of your defensive ones it seemed to be around about the 7 to 10% damage mitigation. Singly they didn't work out anything crazy. If you start putting this together along with some pendants in your build, you can really see the negation start to kick in. Exactly the same again, but this time we're going to be going for a combo effect, the Boot Combo Ward. For this one you're going to be getting damage negation once more, but this time instead of being hit in order to enact it, this time whenever you're performing combos it's going to help you to take a lot of damage reduction that way. Whenever you're hitting over 2 times this is going to come into effect and works amazing for anyone who's going to be tackling bosses and proper in their face. Over to the memory slot, and the first one we'll be picking up is going to be one that's tried and tested in a lot of builds, and that's going to be this time the Way 6 Disciplinary Force. This is going to stack on top of the 3, again it gives you 10% extra damage for whatever you're doing, works absolutely perfect in all builds, and is always the kind of pick that you can't go wrong with. The next one we have is Shan Blight Ward. This one is going to be another way to mitigate a little bit of damage, but it's only going to be for characters that are using Blight, so I think it will narrow it down a little bit. But if you're going for a Blight build, this one could be really good, as it's going to negate a little bit of damage that the enemy is going to be hitting you with. Another one that's perfect for your burning build, so if you're using temporary and you're going to be using a lot of flames, then burning wounds can be a great one to put on, as your weapon's going to gain increased fire damage for a little bit of time whilst you do. Now I thought this was 20% at first, but I think it's somewhere in the region of 15 to 20% extra damage, but again works perfect in those fire builds for dishing out a whole bunch of damage if you wind other slots for some other options rather than the disciplinary force ones. For this one, rather than having something that's going to mitigate damage or provide you extra damage, this time we're going to be regenerating a little bit of extra stamina from our benedictions. We're going to be going over Skyborn Vigor. This one can be really good for anyone who's using fast-paced combat, as whenever you're gaining back a little bit of Skyborn Might, you're also going to get a little bit of extra stamina recovery. Perfect for anyone who wants to back off, gain their stamina back incredibly fast, and then go back into combat and dish out a whole bunch more damage. Over to another one of my favourite benedictions, one that's perfect for anyone who wants a lot of survivability, and this time we're going to have Sheng Skyborn Rejuvenation. This one is going to allow you to get a whole bunch of health back with doing absolutely nothing just for playing the game and attacking your enemies, and as long as you're able to put some combos together and generate a lot of Skyborn Might, this one can work out ideal for regaining health as you're hitting your foes. For the last slots, and we're going to be going over your wisdom slots. And again, the very first one I'll be going over is going to be your final Way Disciplinary Force, and this time it's going to be for the 9 disciplines. The only thing you need to unlock these is to make sure you've got that amount of disciplines unlocked in your skill tree, so make sure you've got enough, and remember if you need to, you can always check by going over to your items, toggling over to disciplines and making sure you've got enough unlocked to make these work. Another one that's a lot better than I actually realised is going to be your Way Blightful Wounds. This one, if you're using a Blight build, is one you definitely want on, as I believe it's going to give around about 15% extra increased damage to whatever you're dishing out with your weapon, but also when you start to dwindle down the enemy's health, I believe it went up to a massive around about 30% increase. They did have to have very low health for this, it was when they're pretty much under 20%, but for a Blight build this one works out perfect, especially if you're trying to do something a bit more niche with your character. Another one that works really well, although they're not quite as popular as the fire builds at the moment, if you want to put some lightning builds together, then combo lightning can work out absolutely ideal. This is going to increase your damage as you're performing a whole bunch of combo attacks with your lightning builds, so make sure you've got lightning tempering on and then have a lot of fun with the extra damage from your lightning. Another one, if you're all about your stamina, is going to be Ren Combo Vigor. This one, whenever you're performing combos, dishing out a whole bunch of damage, your consecutive attacks are going to mean you can regain your stamina a whole bunch quicker, giving you another option to regain stamina if you want to change over one of your pendants to something else. For example, the stamina pendant, the twin infant, over to something like damage. Overall, those are all of my favourite benedictions in the game. I know there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are saying, yeah, but most people are still going to pick the disciplinary force because it does work out easiest overall. But there's a whole bunch of builds to be had in this game, and it all depends what kind of style you can be going for. Also, just before I go, I'm going to mention all of the set bonus that you can get hold of. So when you're using 3 specific benedictions, you're going to be able to put together the Skyborn Plume, which is going to mean you get a little bit of extra attack damage on the next hit after you've gained Skyborn Might. Then you have Impale. This one's going to greatly increase the power of your stab attacks. Then you've got Momentum. Whenever you take down an enemy, it's going to increase your damage until you take damage yourself. Break is going to increase your damage dealt and Poise Break inflicted. Overload is going to increase the power of your heavy charged attacks, but is going to cost a little bit more stamina. And then finally, for the Mastery, that's the one we've seen with the Disciplinary Force ones. Now 12 disciplines this time, you're going to get another 10% on top of all of those, meaning that you get 30% from the Benedictions plus another 10, so 40 overall. Now I've gone ahead and put stars on my top picks for these because I think there's 3 that stand out a little bit more so than the others. The first one's going to be your Skyborn Plume, because even though this does give you a little bit of extra damage, it's also amazing because a few of the benedictions are really helpful, such as the one that's going to give you back your health. Then Impale is really good on those spear builds. This gives you a whole bunch of damage, especially if you're dishing out some backstab damage as well. And then last but definitely not least is going to be your Mastery one, because then as soon as you start unlocking a whole bunch of disciplinaries, you're going to get a really nice amount of damage from your benedictions and of course 10% extra set of the Mastery. Really nice and easy, works on everything including your spells and your skills, and just dishes out massive damage without you even needing to really do much. But yeah, overall these are my top picks. Hopefully they've helped a few of you guys and girls out, and as always there's going to be a whole bunch more content away from me. For now, take care, I'll see you on the next day.